KMMU.org on the radio, and this is Main Street Media Radio, and we're really, really happy to have you join us and have you be with us. We have a guest with us that's coming up very soon that I'm very thrilled to have. She's very busy. She is a Liberty mom. We're having a little bit of hard time trying for her to get the link. So hopefully she'll get the link and she'll be able to join us very momentarily. Carrie Ann Lisenby, Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby, has been in the legislature for several years, and she is now the majority whip. So she's like second in command to the speaker. And we have a new sheriff in town. We have a new speaker that has just been so delightful to work with. So amazing. It has been really wonderful. It is Mike Schultz, and it has really, we've had a great session this year. I'm really excited for next year. I think it's going to be even better. But we had also Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby. She did some great bills, and she didn't just sponsor some great bills. Which is amazing because she's so busy and there's so much to do. It's hard to do very many bills. But what also is really awesome is that she really helped to fix and improve a lot of other bills. She was really right out there, really helping to make a lot of bills a lot better. And you can just see her testifying and working with different legislators and really helping them. She has experience. She's very principled. And so I've been very, very pleased with what she was able to accomplish this year. And we're just very thrilled to have her. Representative Lisenby, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. So happy to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Have things calmed down at all since the session ended? You just jumped right into other things, didn't you?
Yes. It's been busy, but we have work to prepare for next session.
Yes, you do. And I know you're helping with campaigns because you're really great like that. You're a very good campaigner, and you're also really great to help other really principled people make sure they get into office so that we can have a Republican Party that is aligned with the Republican platform and with the Constitution that you take a sacred oath to uphold. And I'm just very grateful for you. You had so many, as I was telling the listeners already, you did so many good things, not just your own bills, but so many ways that you were really helping to improve the legislation out there and help other people. So I have one question I want to start with. Where did you learn about the Constitution?
Oh, that's a great question. And can I just say thank you to you, Delane? You are likewise very involved in campaigns and trying to find good people to serve. And I just really appreciate the work that you do as well. And during the session, as you're trying to influence policy, just really I'm grateful that we can engage. And honestly, you were such a huge help on some of the bills that I was either running or trying to work on. And I just really appreciate your level-headed, just logical approach to things. And
thank you.
Don't get emotional. And it's great to work with you. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Where did I learn about the Constitution? So the majority of the information or the majority of the background that I have in the Constitution is because I homeschooled my 6 kids, K through 12, and we spent a lot of time. I purchased curriculums specifically to teach them about the Constitution. We actually copied the United States Constitution and wrote a family constitution. And that was a really fun discussion, as you can imagine, to have amongst 6 kids and 2 parents and trying to decide what's going to go in all those articles and what the rules are going to be and who's going to enforce them. So it was just a really fun way to engage with my kids. But I also taught large groups of teens when my kids got older. I created a curriculum and taught large groups of teens about legal frameworks and philosophy and epistemology and where good government comes from and where it takes us, and where bad government comes from and where it takes us, and those ideas, those fundamental principles and ideas that that are the I guess, seeds of government. So I think that that's really important. And I know that there are a lot of kids whose families engage, whether they go to public school, charter school, private school, or homeschool, and help them understand the basis for our good system of government in Utah and in America.
As I know that you can tell, but as a citizen, it's so fun. You can tell, I can tell, others can tell who in the legislature really isn't, they're not founded on emotions, but they are truly founded on these principles. And you can tell by the legislation they pass and by the comments that they make and the things that they do. And you can see, oh, yeah, it's so refreshing and so helpful to have people in our legislature who know and understand this, because not only it's just not just your vote, it's that you influence so many other people to understand these principles and to vote properly based on the principles rather than just how they feel in one particular moment. And you have to balance that because you have constituents that are saying this is what you want, we want you to do, and what you are so good at is helping them understand, this is why we're doing this, this is the principle here, so people can understand that. So it's not just the vote, it's a voice, very important voice that can help other people understand. So
Well, I
thank you.
appreciate that.
And
Thank you.
I've noticed, because I have known you a long time, and I have been able to watch you educate so many, not just your own family, which is huge, but so many other young people, and educate them and teach them the Constitution, and they're our hope for the future. It's exciting to see so many people that way. So tell us, what's one of your favorite bills from this session this year, 2024?
Oh, golly. I worked so hard on a few of them,
So
and
many of them you did.
I think probably one of my favorites was that survey bill. I honestly, it was kind of funny. That was like I had worked so hard on all my criminal justice bills, and
Uh-huh.
then that one was just kind of like, oh, it's going public, and I don't think it's going to be a huge controversial issue, and it just, a constituent brought it to me, and I've been trying to find the right policy solutions and worked on it, but not like I hadn't done a ton of work on it because it's pretty straightforward.
Right,
Um,
simple.
and then I started getting texts from people like, "Oh my gosh, I love your bill." And it was like,
Mhm.
I had to go look it up. I wasn't even sure I hadn't memorized the numbers yet. And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And then as you go through the committee process and you have to make changes and you're trying to negotiate your way through, and that was, I think, one of the ones you were super helpful on, just trying to balance all of the voices that were coming, um, and trying to find the best policy. And I think we landed in a really good spot on that bill. I
I
mean,
am so pleased with that bill.
yeah,
This is school surveys. It's having making sure parents have parental authorization about it, and they have to get it every year. And it's changing what they can do in the survey. And I think that's one of the most insidious parts that are happening in our schools is through surveys.
yeah.
And I really like this bill. I thought you did an excellent job, and you did have to, really juggle with a lot of strong personalities and people who have a lot of passionate views, me being one of them. But yeah, I thought you
It's
did
a
a really great job navigating
it's
everyone, and it's a good bill.
it's a good bill. And I like the part too. I've had several parents contact me, and they've heard about the bill, but they're like, "Yeah, so my child's teacher, gives gift cards to the kids or gives
Mhm.
prizes if kids and
Right.
does drawings." And so I said, "Oh, well, under this bill, we copied the language from the assessment language that just says you can't incentivize or disincentivize kids to take a survey." And anyway, so when that comes online, I think there's going to be a lot of just change in perspective, and just the way that people look at these surveys, just like the perspectives changed around assessments after all of the discussions we had about opt in, opt out. So I just think it's really important that we empower parents to be able to make these decisions and not have kids or parents feel pressure um, from
Mhm.
teachers or from outside interests.
That is so important. There's enough stuff for kids to deal with. And yeah, and the kids are the ones that end up suffering the ramifications because the parents don't want them to take it. But I also love that there are young people that are learning to stand up. And I know a big part of the surveys is as parents, we need to teach our children, if we don't want them to take it, to not take it, to teach them, I did not sign you into it. It's opt in, and do not take it. And that way, kids are empowered.
Yeah.
Just call me if they give you the survey, which happens all the time because it's real
Yeah.
hard to keep track of. I mean, as a
Yeah.
teacher, I know it's really hard to like keep track of which students you can honestly forget, but it's a really important part.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Okay, do you have another bill that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I worked on that expungement bill, and that was a 3-year process to try
Yes.
to find the right, landing spot for not only what it ended up being was a huge omnibus bill that addressed auto expungements, petition-based expungements. So I had started out with just addressing petition-based expungements and the waiver process, and especially the waiver process with regards to BCI, who didn't have a waiver process, and creating a mechanism for them to basically recognize the court's waiver that they've granted. And right now, under current policy, before the bill goes into effect, there's about 15% of individuals who apply for the waiver, and about 85% of that 15%, 85 to 90%, are granted the waiver of those that apply. And I think that's because the court has a really transparent process for here are the stipulations for obtaining a waiver if you can't afford to pay the fees to get your expungements. But the point I've made consistently throughout this process is there are soft on crime national groups who are constantly trying to remove any fines or fees from the criminal justice space for individuals who have committed crimes and created impact on society, to just basically not hold them accountable in any way, and especially in a financial way. And I understand that individuals who are involved in criminal justice space are disproportionately uh, of a lower income class, and that's difficult. But if I'm raising my kids in poverty as a single mom in Syracuse or in Salt Lake City, I maybe in Salt Lake City because they might have policies that are different, but in any of the other cities in Utah, for the most part, I can't go and say, I can't afford to pay my water bill, so you need to provide that service, and I just need to not have to pay my fee to get water or to get electricity, or you know what I mean? It's
Yes,
just
I do.
we're expected, and individuals who haven't committed a crime or created a victim or a criminal impact on society, we don't get our fees waived, our government fees, and it's
Right.
inappropriate to us to assume, in my opinion, that individuals who have created that impact should just be able to carte blanche get any sort of waiver for any fee, where they are interacting in the criminal justice space. So we landed in a really good spot. We had that court waiver process already in place, required BCI to recognize it. So individuals who truly can't afford it can move on with their lives, can go get jobs, can engage in the economy, can get housing. But we also addressed, as you know, I don't know if you were um, aware of this or if your listeners are, but so the inmate. He's in prison right now, and will be for a very long time. But he murdered that young 5-year-old girl up in Cache County, left her in the woods, raped
Yes.
her, and murdered her. He had auto expungements processed for him while he was in prison because the courts just didn't check. They don't run their batches of auto expungements through any sort of program that would catch, hey, this person is currently incarcerated or under felony supervision or anything like that. And so the bill requires the courts then to take those batchings that are going over to BCI for auto expungement and ensure that these individuals are not currently incarcerated, so that if, for instance, this person is released on parole or probation at some point, and has a review, that the criminal history will be available for review. So I just think that's super important. We want to make sure that we are balancing public safety with individuals who have committed crimes being able to move on with their lives when they have stopped committing crime and ceased to recidivate and want to move on. We want to encourage that. Um, but we also want to make sure that we hold people accountable. So that bill is very big lift, but it was I think it's a very good bill and a very balanced approach, and it will require some more work. So you'll hear me go on about expungements again in the future, but
Well, I think it was a very important bill, very vital to the rule of law and to literally justice and mercy. We believe in both. And so I thought it was a very important bill, and I really appreciate it. It was a lot of work. And thank you so much for doing that. I think Utah is a better state because of it.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think so
So
too.
Representative Elizabeth, thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your work, and I hope that we can have you on again soon.
Thank
You
you.
did create a lot of value, and you do. And yeah, I would love to hear about maybe some of the things coming up that I've got a list of things that I think are kind of important that we might want to talk about. I would love to talk to you about the things that you're working on. So thank you so much for being here, and
Great.
good
Let's
luck with
set up
the
a meeting and
elections. And I really hope you have a fun summer. So
you
it
well,
doesn't
let's
last
set up a
forever.
meeting and talk about your ideas because
Okay, great.
I want to get my bill files open in May. You know how important that
Great.
is to them
Yes, I do.
drafted.
Yeah.
And so appreciate your work and thanks for having
Okay.
me on and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you
Thanks so
soon.
much. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Representative.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Thanks. Have a beautiful
Thanks.
day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, we will be right back with our a candidate, Frank Mylar, a candidate for attorney.